She forgave the man who murdered her mother. She waited for him at the prison gates the day he was released. She gave him a job. She gave him a place to sleep. She gave him a second chance at life. And he killed her too. I'm Cole, and this is Midnight Files. If you're new here, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a case. There's a house in the state of Arkansas, and it's not just any house. The Snowden family acquired the property back in 1919. When they got it, the house was already over 200 years old. Already historic, already something to behold. But the Snowdens didn't let it crumble. They poured money into it. They restored every inch of that structure until what started as an old house became something closer to a palace, a landmark. It became so well known, so visually stunning, that Hollywood came calling. The production team behind the film The Informant reached out to the Snowden family and asked if they could shoot inside the property. And they said yes. Audiences saw the interior of that palace on the big screen. The grand rooms, the antique decor, the history carved into every wall. The Snowden patriarch eventually passed away. He left the property to his son. The son left it to his daughter, Sally Snowden McKay. And when Sally was gone, she left it to her daughter, Martha McKay. By 2020, the estate had become a historic resort. Wealthy visitors could book a stay, spend a night or two inside this piece of living history, and the property had been fitted with a security system. The moment anyone entered without authorization, an alarm would trigger, and an alert would be sent directly to the local police station. One day that alarm went off. 2 officers were dispatched to check on the property. They pulled up, and it was quiet. No guests were expected, no visitors scheduled. They knocked on the front door. Nothing. They knocked again. Still nothing. The main door was locked, so they started walking the perimeter, circling toward the back, checking if the rear entrance was open or if someone had forced their way in. And that's when they spotted him. A man inside the house, on the 2nd floor. The moment he saw those officers, he didn't hesitate. He jumped, right out of the 2nd floor window, straight down to the ground below. His car was parked nearby. He hit the ground, got up, ran for the car, and took off. But he didn't get far. The car got stuck, bogged down in the ground. Couldn't move. The officers were on foot. They sprinted toward him. He looked back, saw them coming, knew the car was done, and he got out. And he ran. On foot now, both sides running, until he reached the river. There was a river running close to the property. And without breaking stride, he jumped in. The officers reached the bank. They watched the surface of the water. He didn't come up. 1 minute, 5, 15, half an hour. He never surfaced. The officers called it in. Backup arrived. Investigators came to the scene. And before they dealt with the river, they went inside the house. They cleared the ground floor. Nothing. 1st floor. Nothing. 2nd floor. They found the body of Martha McKay, 63 years old, stabbed with a knife. Blood throughout that section of the house. And nearby, a bag filled with valuables, antiques, collectibles, things someone had grabbed in a hurry. The picture became clear. This man had broken in. He was stealing, but at some point, Martha had discovered him, and he made a decision. He stabbed her, made sure she was dead, then tried to leave. To identify the suspect, the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission was brought in. They swept the river with sonar equipment. the same technology used to locate fish beneath the surface. The sonar found him. At the bottom of the river, they pulled the body out. Travis Lewis, 39 years old. And that's when everything changed. When investigators looked up Travis Lewis, they found he had been released from prison just 2 years earlier, released after serving time for murder. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was who he had murdered. 23 years before this, back in 1996, Travis Lewis was 16 years old, and he walked into that same estate, and he shot and killed Sally Snowden McKay, Martha's mother. He also shot and killed a young man who was with her, Baker, a musician, and a relative of the family. He entered the house with a weapon, found them both inside, and killed them both. He was sentenced to 28.5 years in prison after pleading guilty. He served 23, and then he was released. Now, here's where this story takes a turn that nobody in that state was prepared for. Martha McKay, the daughter of the woman Travis had murdered, had spent years thinking about him. She was haunted by the question of why. Why had this young man come into her home and taken her mother's life? Was he pressured? Was there more to the story? So she went to see him. She sat down with Travis Lewis in that prison, and she said, "Travis, you were so young, I don't believe you did this alone. Did someone manipulate you? Did someone pressure you? Because I cannot look at you and believe that you, by yourself, decided to kill my mother and kill another person who had done nothing to you." And Travis broke down. He cried. He told her he was sorry. He said the guilt was something he couldn't live with. And Martha felt for him. Martha was a Buddhist, and in her faith, forgiveness was absolute, unconditional. No matter what someone had done, forgiveness was still possible, still right. So she forgave him. She kept coming back, visit after visit, year after year. She brought him food. She sat with him. She kept returning to that prison, and the people around her couldn't understand it. Friends told her, "Martha, of all the people in this world who need your kindness, you chose the man who murdered your mother." She told them, "It doesn't matter. I forgive him. My anger won't bring anyone back." Her husband stood by her. He said, "I trust Martha. I trust her judgment, and I support her." But not everyone did. Her mother-in-law, Gladys, who worked with them at the estate, watched Martha making those visits week after week, and Gladys told her plainly, "What you're doing is wrong. He got what he deserved. Let him stay in there and move on with your life." Martha pushed back. She said she felt guilty, as if their family was somehow responsible for the years he'd lost behind bars. Gladys stared at her. "He committed double murder, and you're visiting him like he's a friend." Martha didn't stop. Then, 2018, Travis Lewis was released from prison, and the only person waiting for him at the gate was Martha. She was there, standing outside that prison. And when he walked out, "Hey, how are you? I missed you. I'm so sorry that because of what happened, because of my mother, you spent all those years in there." And then she made him an offer. "I want to make it up to you. I want to give you a job at the estate, a salary, a place to live, food, everything you need. Think of me as someone you can always turn to." Travis accepted. He moved in. He started working at the historic estate. the same property where he had committed those murders 23 years earlier. Gladys refused to stay. She told Martha's husband, "I won't work there as long as he's there. And listen to me. Your wife is bringing a killer back to the very house where he committed the crime. This is a terrible mistake." She warned them. She walked, and the rest of them stayed. For about 2 years, from 2018 to 2020, Travis lived and worked at the Snowden estate alongside Martha. Then one day, a wealthy merchant visited the property. He noticed a chandelier, an antique piece that had been hanging in that house for over 200 years. He wanted it. Martha told him it wasn't for sale. He pushed. $5,000. $10,000. He kept going until he reached a number that made her pause. She agreed. The merchant took the chandelier and paid her in cash, right there on the spot. Martha took the money and kept it in her bedroom. She planned to go to the bank in a day or two. Travis Lewis was in the house that day. He saw the cash come in. He knew exactly where it was. Investigators later pieced together what happened next. Travis waited until he was sure no one else was around. Then he moved, knife already on him, brought from outside. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. This was planned. He was going after the money, and if someone caught him, he was prepared to kill. Whether Martha was already in the room or walked in on him, it ended the same way. He stabbed her. He made sure she was dead. He couldn't locate the full cash amount, so he grabbed whatever valuables he could find, stuffed them in a bag, and went for the window. That's when he saw the officers. And you know what happened after that. When the story spread across Arkansas, when people learned that the man who had just murdered Martha McKay was the same man who had murdered her mother 23 years before, and that Martha herself had brought him into that house. The community was shaken. Psychologists, criminologists, they all weighed in, because this case raised a question that goes deeper than one crime, one family, one state. Does everyone deserve forgiveness? Investigators concluded that Travis didn't kill Martha because he snapped. He brought that knife with him. This was premeditated. But there was something else, something darker. They believe Travis may have felt crushed by Martha's forgiveness, not grateful, not redeemed, crushed. Here was a woman whose mother he had murdered, and she forgave him, waited at the prison gate, gave him a home, treated him like family, and the weight of her goodness against what he truly was may have broken something in him. He couldn't live with what she represented, so he ended it. Forgiveness is one of the highest things a person can offer another human being, but not every person who receives it is capable of carrying it. And sometimes, the most dangerous place you can put yourself is directly in the path of the very thing you forgave. This is where Martha McKay's story ends. In the house her family built, in the rooms she loved, killed by the same hands that had already taken her mother.